the story of Hazrat Mu'az ibn Jabal radiyallahu anhu. There he was, Hazrat Mus'ab ibn Umair radiyallahu anhu, knocking on doors, searching for new mu'mineen and walking through the pathways of Medina, inviting people towards Allah. There was no house left in Medina except that Islam had entered it. Hazrat Mus'ab radiallahu anhu was certainly a great influence on those around him, even though he was not a black magician nor the owner of a magical staff. Rather, he was a person with a clean and pious heart. He was devoted to Allah in his Iman, and Allah was true to him. The youth of Medina gathered around Hazrat Mus'ab ibn Umair, listening to the verses of the Quran that flowed softly and sweetly from his blessed mouth. Their amazement increased because of his deep faith in Allah and his strong Iman. Hazrat Musab was thus able to guide them towards Iman. A year had passed since his arrival in Medina, and there was no house in which Islam had not entered. The people of Medina longed deeply to see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They thought to themselves, if this was his ambassador to them with this beautiful faith, then how would he himself be? Hazrat Musab had truly moved their hearts with the message of Allah and his Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They yearned to see this noor with their own eyes. Then a caller among the people of Medina called out, Illa al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. All then hastened in preparation for that blessed destination. 80 men, together with their wives, gathered for the meeting with Rasulullah at the second Aqaba. Among the elderly men of Medina were also the youth of the Khazraj. Hazrat Mu'az ibn Jabal ibn As al-Khazraji radiyallahu anhu went with them. The desire to meet Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and to see his blessed face with his own eyes overwhelmed him, for he had already seen him with the eyes of his heart. Even before he saw Rasulullah physically, he felt Iman resting firmly in his heart and a nur that nothing could conceal from him. Hazrat Mu'az returned strengthened with the Iman he had gained, eagerly awaiting the arrival of Rasulullah to Medina so that he could remain with him for the rest of his life. Could you imagine that Hazrat Mu'az ibn Jabal radiyallahu anhu was only 19 years old at the time Prophet Muhammad came to Medina? However, the lives of these people were not measured in years, but in great actions. The life of Hazrat Mu'az radiallahu anhu was short. He passed away at the young age of 33. Hazrat Mu'az did not miss a single opportunity in his life to remain close to the Prophet. He persisted in attending the gatherings in Masjid al-Nabawi to such an extent that he was able to memorize the Quran during the lifetime of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at a time when memorizing the Quran was done by only a few. Whenever Hazrat Mu'az radiallahu anhu heard something from the Prophet, he remembered and memorized it until the Prophet said, the most knowledgeable of my ummah with halal and haram is Mu'az ibn Jabal. Once the Prophet said, O Mu'az, by Allah, verily I love you. Do not forget to say at the end of every salah, O Allah, verily assist me in your remembrance, in expressing gratitude to you and worshipping you in a most beautiful manner. What kind of honor and merit can be greater than the Prophet saying to one of his companions, verily I love you by Allah? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew well the good that was in Hazrat Mu'az radiallahu anhu and knew that he intended Allah and His Rasul. Therefore, he loved him and appraised him from amongst his companions. From amongst them were those elder than him, and also those who had accepted Islam before him. However, Iman raises the small and places them amongst the elders. One day, the Prophet sent Hazrat Muaz to Yemen. The Prophet came out advising Hazrat Muaz. Hazrat Muaz was riding his conveyance whilst Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was walking. It was a great honor for Hazrat Muaz, which was not given to anyone else after him. It was on this account that the companions of the Prophet looked towards Hazrat Muaz radiallahu anhu with great respect because of his knowledge. Many times, when Hazrat Muaz was not close to the Prophet, he gave him preference over the other Sahaba. But life did not continue for anyone. Hazrat Muaz ibn Jabal was like the remaining Sahaba. He looked towards wealth in this way that verily it was the wealth of Allah, and it was only given to him so that he would spend it in good continuously. So much so that in time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to give so much of his wealth to the people that nothing used to remain in his house for him after that. One of the Tabi'een named Hazrat Abu Bahriya said, I entered Masjid al-Hims in Syria, where I came across a youngster with extremely curly hair whom people had surrounded. When he spoke, it was as though noor and pearls came out of his mouth. I said, Who is this? They said, Muaz ibn Jabal. They had all certainly recognized the virtue of Hazrat Muaz in his knowledge which he had obtained from the Prophet, until Hazrat Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu said, Whoever intends to ask anything regarding jurisprudence should ask Muaz ibn Jabal. When the death of Hazrat Umar ibn Khattab was near, he said, If Muaz was alive, I would have definitely made him the Khalifa. Then, when my Rabb asks me, Who did you make the Khalifa? I would say, Verily, the Prophet said, Verily, the ulama, when they are made present before their Rabb on the day of Qiyamah, Muaz ibn Jabal will be their leader, who will precede them the amount of the throwing of a stone. As for the great Sahabi, Hazrat Abdullah ibn Masud radiallahu anhu, verily he used to say, Verily, Mu'az ibn Jabal was like a humble nation for Allah, not misguided and not from amongst the polytheists. He then said in one of his gatherings, This is Ibrahim, a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Abdullah ibn Masud said, Do you know what an ummah is and what a ghanat is? Hazrat Abdullah ibn Masud then replied, saying, The ummah is the one who knows the good. The qanat is he who is obedient to Allah. Hazrat Muaz radiallahu anhu taught the people well, and he was obedient to Allah and His Rasul. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu prevented the elder Sahaba from coming out of Medina without his permission. This was due to there being a great need to have them in order to ask them regarding assigning of the matters of deen, so that he could consult with them regarding what new matters were occurring. Hazrat Muaz ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu was one of the preferred ones in front of Hazrat Umar. However, the Muslims were increasing day by day. Hazrat Umar then sent Hazrat Muaz to Syria in order to teach them their deen and give them instructions regarding it. In hymns, the gathering of Hazrat Muaz ibn Jabal was filled with envoys from all over Syria. so that they would take knowledge from the most knowledgeable of the Ummah regarding halal, what is permitted, and haram, what is prohibited. The people of Syria had intense love for him, except that the days of happiness were few. A plague had definitely taken the Muslims by surprise. Hazrat Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah radiallahu anhu, the governor and leader of Syria, had passed away during that time. Thereafter, Hazrat Muaz ibn Jabal was made the governor until Hazrat Umar had sent another governor. Hazrat Muaz then stood up and addressed the Muslims, promoting them to have patience. He then said, O people, verily this plague is a blessing from your Rabb, an invitation of your Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a possession of the pious ones before you. O Allah, give the family of Muaz the most abundant portion of this mercy. Hazrat Muaz returned to his house and found that his son Abdul Rahman, who was the most beloved of his children to him, had been afflicted by the plague. Hazrat Muaz said to him, O Abdul Rahman, how are you? He replied, O father, verily it is the truth from your Rabb. Never be from the doubtful ones. Hazrat Muaz then said, Soon you will find me, if Allah wills, to be from the patient ones. Abdul Rahman passed away, followed by his older brother, after which the wife of Hazrat Muaz had passed away. Only he had remained until the plague had then afflicted him so badly that he was unable to stand and lay down on his mattress. He used to fall unconscious and then recover, and when he recovered, he said, O my Rab, bring me to you. Verily, you know that my heart loves you. He thereafter said to those around him, Did the morning rise? They replied, Yes, it is morning, O Muaz. He then said, I seek protection in Allah from such a night whose night is the fire. Welcome, O death, welcome, a visitor long absent from us, and a beloved who came when he was desired. O Allah, I fear you. Verily, today I ask for you. Verily, you know that I do not love this world and the lengthening of remaining in it, so that wells may be dug, nor that trees may be planted, but for the thirst that a fasting person experiences on a very hot day, and the being worn down by patience upon obedience, and the crowds of the ulama traveling to the gatherings of zikr. Thereafter, Hazrat Muaz radiallahu anhu's soul left for its master. It was a short life in years, but filled with wonderful opinions throughout and powerful knowledge. His death was in the 18th year after Hijrah, and by the grave of Hazrat Muaz radiallahu anhu, it is possible to hear his dua to his master being echoed in the darkness of the night. O Allah, the eyes have definitely slept, the stars have fallen in, whilst you are the ever living and the maintainer. O Allah, my search for Jannah is slow, and my escape from the fire is weak. O Allah, grant me from you such guidance which will return me to you on the day of Qiyamah. Verily, you shall never fail in your promise. So, children, what are the beneficial lessons we learn from this story? 1. Knowledge raises the status of a man and puts him amongst the distinguished. 2. The love the Prophet had for Muaz radiallahu anhu. 3. Life is not measured in age, but with the achievements of man in his life. And 4. Endeavoring in the search of knowledge and exertion in worship.